Agree. Speaking of panic, obviously a lot of people went into meltdown yesterday evening with Arsenal coming up trumps, Arsenal winning the way they did. I I got a bit of content dropping later today. I've enjoyed the research into it today. The amount of hate watches, it just went bing, and ended. I love it because I love fan content. That's what it is. But
that's what they do.
But Arsenal yesterday, George, it wasn't just the way that it wasn't a smash and grab. They weren't crap and scored 2 late goals. They were comprehensively better than Newcastle. The manager, I think, had this week listened to his critics. The handbrake was removed. Eze started. And barring a goal against a run of play, you could argue it's the best Arsenal have looked in the Premier League in the last 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, Arsenal looked really good yesterday. To be honest, I expected that performance from them. I actually predicted them to win 3-1. I just thought that going into this game, Mikel will know like there's a bit more pressure and that he wants to see, or the Arsenal fans want to see, take the handbrake off, let the team loose, play Eze in the 10. And naturally, when you play Eze in the 10, you're going to see a bit more flair, a bit more freedom, a bit more creativity in the front because he makes something from nothing. He's a player who's going to drop the shoulder, beat his man. And then sometimes when you think he's lost the ball, no, he sticks his leg out, rolls it around. He's just got that little bit of skill about him that can get him past the player. So they definitely look better in this game. I think for me, I know some people say they nicked the win. I say that for those types of games, when Liverpool are doing it, it's the sign of champions. So you got to say the same thing when it's Arsenal. It's a sign of champions. I know Gary Neville said on the commentary when Moreno scored, you got to go get another one if you want to win the title. They done that. They went and got another one. So look, Set Piece FC done what they done. Gabriel bullied, I don't know who he bullied in the air, but especially after what Volta made had done to him and he was crying all over the floor. It's what
I don't know what he was doing.
Centre back, but what I did like is that game was a very old school, ruthless. I'm seeing elbows go into each other's heads. That was a proper battle. I love it. You could see that both teams were proper battling it out. And they're building like a little rivalry, Newcastle and Arsenal. Like whenever they go into their games, there's always some controversy. There's always that little bit of extra aggression and fight. And look, it was a good game for the neutral. Obviously, as a Tottenham fan, don't want to see Arsenal win, but I'll be honest, I expected that to happen. And that midfielder, Declan Rice and Zubimendi, is really starting to click. They're starting to look really good to get next to each other.
Yeah, and it's a really massive win for Arsenal because again, that's also a place where they've failed to capitalize on points. Whenever rivals drop points or a chance for Arsenal to go and take some impetus in the title race, when they come up against Newcastle, especially away, it just falls flat on its face. Obviously, the biggest one being, I think, when they were trying to get top 4 that year and they'd lost 2-0. Obviously, had there also the disallowed goal or like the whole incident with Gabriel being pushed or Joelinton being pushed and stuff like that. So they've got a big hoodoo off their back this season with that win, and it will go forward and it will serve them well in the title race because then they can start to believe. They can start to be like, you know what? It doesn't matter who we play, no matter what records we have at certain grounds or what kind of how we like play against certain teams that we can overcome. And Arteta got it right. And he wasn't like they didn't deserve to win that. Like people say they nicked it. They didn't nick it. Like they hit the post. They had many chances to try and score goals. They were working Nick Pope. Nick Pope had a great game, considering like he still lost. Like the saves they were making was there because Arsenal were putting the pressure on and they were putting trying to put Newcastle to the sword. So it was a good performance. It was a good performance, and going forward, Arsenal need to maintain that. That's what hopefully Arteta, if you look at it from Arsenal perspective, can learn from this and be like, yo, we don't have to be as cautious all the time in these big moments. Like maybe we can put more impetus into the game and be a bit more front foot against the bigger teams because they're a good team, and people don't like it because it's Arsenal. Obviously, George won't like it. You know what I mean? Many fans won't like it online and stuff, but they're a top team. And if they just keep showing that they are, I don't think anyone will start. Like, I think people would die down about Arsenal if they keep doing stuff like this, where they win games and you can say, well, even before the last minute winner.
But the analysis, though, is crazy. It's going to feature on a show of mine this afternoon, but I saw Andy Graham and Richard Keys talk about how he doesn't trust his players. And do you know the reasoning they gave? This is what I mean by the duplicity and the ridiculous nature of the criticism of Arsenal. And as a football fan, I'll push back against it because it's crazy. They said they can prove he doesn't trust these players. I went, how? Because he doesn't sit down during the game, he stands up.
But if he wasn't...
Because he can't sit down and relax, it means he doesn't trust these players. And you sit there and think, I don't remember ever seeing Klopp really sit down. Pep's always standing up. But you get Fergie, by the way, only sat down in the latter stage of his career because the man was old. Like, he was in his 70s, right? But this is what and this is why I get, like, yesterday, Phil came on and called out Anton. Now, Anton, I push back if you're watching Anton against some of your stats because you made them yourself. Right. And I don't know how good you are at statistics. You might be an expert. You might have a master's degree in statistical analysis. But he said that Arsenal have had, I don't remember if he said first or second hardest, but one of the hardest starts. And Liverpool's start to the season was the 12th hardest, or, you know, the 8th easiest, or whichever way around you want to look at it. But from my perspective, I think Arsenal have had a slightly tougher start than Liverpool, but I think it's marginal. But I agree with his point that Arsenal have now given themselves a great base to try and win the Premier League from. Because they've gone away to Liverpool, they've played City at home, they've gone away to Newcastle, away to Man United. And although United are crap, we've always been a horrible place for them to go. And they've come out of it with 12 points from a possible 15. And they've got the joint most goals scored. So again, people are going on the attacking record and the way they attack. No team scored more than them in the league. The best defensive record. That means they have the best goal difference. And they've had a very hard start. And that rattles people. Because for the last 3 or 4 seasons, everybody's been hoping for the demise and the fall of Arsenal Football Club. And that's fine for people to want that. The only part that's frustrated me has been the awful analysis, like the one I just mentioned, the making, oh, he only started when Terrace, so he could say he played the youngest player, right through to he don't trust these players because he stands up during the game. That's the shit I hate and push back against, because we just don't need that in football. It plays, especially from the pros, it plays no part in analysing the game. It's not even banter. It's just bullshit. But Arsenal yesterday was supreme. And when they went 1-0 down, I sat here and laughed, right? I sat here and laughed. And I was like, I felt a bit bad for them in the sense of, because there's this part of me going, oh, can you imagine the toxicity after this game if they're a bit more brave? They start Eze and end up losing a couple of goals on the counter or whatever it may be. But they didn't. They kept their heads. I thought Eze in the 10 was just majestic. I thought it was majestic. I loved watching him play. Unlucky not to score a couple of goals. Nick Pope on his points. Some of the hold-up play yesterday from Victor Gyökeres. I think Giuseppe, if you're watching, brother, you shouldn't have yielded on your he plays like Harry Kane comment too soon. Obviously, I'm being. By the way, that's a bit of banter, ladies and gentlemen. It's not real analysis. It's a very flippant, quick comment. He weren't as good as Harry Kane at hold-up play, but he was very good at it yesterday. I thought it was great that taking Saka off was being nullified, still isn't fully match fit, didn't run him into the ground until the 95th minute of the game, takes him off, brings on Martinelli from the bench. I think Martinelli may have found his place in the squad this season, being that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, being that super sub, bringing that speed on for the last 15, 20 minutes of a game is a nightmare for teams. And Declan Rice in the middle. I always know, George, okay, this is us talking in when Declan Rice has done well, because Don and Ches are silent. They don't say anything. That's like my barometer for Declan Rice. Is let me check the GC and let me see if these boys have mentioned his name. That's how I kind of test. I go, I think he's been good, but I need to see if those boys have mentioned him. When it's silence, you know your thoughts right. Yeah. But he was just, in the first half, I thought he was a little quiet and a little deep. Second half, he just started to get more and more into the game. Forget the assist. It was a brilliant cross. Forget that is just a cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake. He just had, again, the midfield he was up against, it was just dominant. It was experienced. There was leadership in there. And my only real message, because again, my club can't win the league. It's impossible for Man United to win the league this season. And I don't want Liverpool getting number 21. I don't want City and Pep getting another one. So I do want Arsenal to win the league. I prefer Chelsea out of the teams that at the start of the season we thought might be able to win it. By the way, if Thomas Frank can go on a run and win the league, I'd pick you over Chelsea, because there's a hierarchy to who my bigger rivals are. But Arsenal feel like the only team that could conceivably win the league other than City, who might, and Liverpool that are the favourites. So I hope Arsenal do it, because at the end of the day, that is the lesser of two evils for me. But my message to them is very simple. keep playing the way you did this weekend, you will win easily 5 or 6 more games playing this way, to being a little bit more conservative, taking the risk at the right time. And I thought they were great yesterday, Arsenal. Massive value for money. And some of the players that were maybe not so fancied and written off a little bit really stepped up. I suppose the other thing I would say as well, finally Terry admits it.
Everyone's now saying you're now a goon.
Well, I did my first career mode game last night. There's no master slip. I mean, this is the irony in it. I think it's the online fans versus the everyday fan who's not online. There is no Man United fan in my... I do question your love and understanding of Man United if you'd prefer Liverpool to win the league over Arsenal. Now, of course, my main preference is I want Man United to win the league. But I can't hope for that this season. That's a weird thing to hope for. It's like being a grown-up that believes in Santa Claus coming. Like if I get to Christmas Eve and my kids are all excited, oh, I can't wait for the presents, and I'm sitting there going, oh yeah, Santa's come. Oh shit, I didn't buy nothing. Like we're fucked. Christmas is ruined, right? Santa ain't real. Man United are not winning the league. So what do I want to happen? Well, I don't want my biggest rivals winning it. You could take it as a bit of a low blow against Arsenal, saying I don't see them as that big a rival, but I don't compare it to Liverpool. I don't compare it to City. If I had to choose, I'd pick City to win it over Liverpool. I'd never want Liverpool to win the league, ever. The only time maybe would be if it would stop City doing a quad, which surpasses an achievement my club's never done. So, it's always. But this is the mad bit. It's always about my club. My reasons are nothing to do with anybody else's. I don't want it so Miguel can celebrate. I don't want it for Mikel. I want it for me. But yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm on loan anyway. I'm on loan at Arsenal this year. I might even wear a kit. I might even wear a kit just to wind more people up.
No,